Yeah, okay, fine. I think it's solved, right? So we were discussing Saussure and his modern linguistics, as he's called father of modern linguistics. Now there are some questions that I would like to put uh, before you. First of all, let me know what was the period when Saussure lived. Do you remember? First question.
Yes, ma'am.
1857 to
1857 to
19,
1913.
18?
57
to
to 1913.
Yeah. And okay, when did his first work come was published?
1916.
1916. What was the title of that work?
The course in linguistic.
course of linguistic
Course in
mod
one word you are missing from here.
course in modern
Linguistics.
linguistic
Is it
course
modern?
in modern
Is it modern
linguistic
or some other word is there?
Ma'am, course in general linguistics.
Fine. And yeah,
Yes.
and he is called. What is he generally called?
father
Of modern linguistics. Okay. Now, the three terms that I discussed in the very first class, what were these three terms?
sign
Sign, and
signifier
sound,
And signified.
signifier.
What are the two components of sign? Two
sound and
components of sign.
concept
Ways and concept.
Can you give the example? Can you explain? Can you give any example from language or out of language also? Any example? How do you distinguish between signifier and signified?
Ma'am, signifier is a kind, ma'am, we can say, hearing to that sound, the image comes to our mind. That is
Sound image. That
signifier,
is
and
sound image. Sound as the image. It is sound
sound
image.
as in. Yes,
Sound
ma'am.
image. Yes. And
And the
signified
concept
is
related to that
yes.
is
Is
signified.
yes. Good. It is very good to see that you have followed till here. Then yesterday, I gave again two terms, lang and parole. So, what is lang and what is parole?
I missed yesterday's class.
You missed and rest of you. Lang, let me give you the hint, or rather, it's very good to see that yes, you responded so positively. So, lang and parole, these were the two terms that were introduced yesterday, and then there was another. Another pair of terms that I introduced today. I'm introducing it in pairs. So, what were the two other terms? Do you remember that?
synchronic dichronic
Yes, synchronic and dichronic. Okay.
Ma'am,
Now,
Sigma, something like that.
okay, synchronic and dichronic. This is good to remember. Now, see here, what we have noticed so far is that the first quarter of the 20th century. Okay, this was very important. Why? Because during this period there were many theoretical schools that had come up. Many theories were coming. Different scholars they formed the school with the common opinion or common beliefs, and then on or common philosophy, common ideas. So they are grouped together and they form a school. And there were many schools that had come up during this period. That means there were many theories that had come up during that period, first quarter of 20th century. And you have in your syllabus those theories also, like new criticism is there, then Russian formalism is there, then there is one called reader response theory is there. So these are the theories that you if you are appearing for the net, the questions will be coming from such these theories also. Now coming to Saussure, I gave the example of because it was Saussure who began this new school of thought, structuralism. Before that also there were scholars who had talked about structure. For example, I told that it began with Aristotle. Okay, the first person who talked about structure. So then I gave you the definition of structure also. Like I gave you some examples like building blocks that I gave yesterday. Okay, so everything, whatever exists around us or within us. I give you example of organ systems also and human system, how human biology or human anatomy works. That is also a system. So we see so many buildings around us. They are all structures. बहुत ही concrete जाओगे तो देखोगे all the buildings around us. And then when you see construction going on, you see that at place there are some bricks which are lying, then there is a concrete that is lying, cement is lying. So okay, so they are all just piles of the things. That is not a structure. But when each of these components are used properly and then a building stands up, then you say that this is the structure. Okay, so each component is separate, but this component gets its meaning when it becomes the part of the structure. Okay. There's one wonderful example that will help you to understand that. See, we have seen that the relation between this we had discussed previously also, that the relation between signifier and signified is arbitrary. Arbitrary means it is temporary. For example, when we say word cat, right? I gave this example that cat से ये नहीं समझ में आएगा कि that it is furry and there's no relation. But then since we are speaking it, so that image comes in your mind, a concept is formed in your mind. So the relation between these two things, that is sound image and the concept, is arbitrary. Okay, लेकिन आप cat की meaning कैसे समझते हो कि when I say cat, that means the first thing that comes in your mind is that cat is not dog. Cat is not sheep, right? So basically क्या होता है कि you oppose opposition, जो चीज oppositional element plays a role in understanding the meaning. Signifier or signified की जो relation है, that is arbitrary. There is no logic in it. You understand the meaning by opposition, by contradiction. ठीक है, अब let me give you another example, like when I say window. Okay, और फर्दर कोई एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं, जैसे बिल्डिंग बन रही है और वहां पे विंडो रखी हुई है. Does window have any meaning? It does not have any meaning. When that window is fixed in that building, okay, then you say that what is the meaning of window? That it is not wall, right? Door is door because it is not wall. It is not window. You can go through it. You cannot go through the window. Right? So basically what I mean to say that in order to understand the meaning of the word, you just oppose it with something else in your mind. Signifier, signified, the relationship is arbitrary. There is no connection between the sound image cat and the concept cat, right? And the word cat gets its meaning by opposition. By opposition means cat is cat because it is not dog. Light is light because it is not dark. Sun is sun because it is not moon. Right? So from there we get the meaning in language. Was it convincing? Right? Okay. Now If you have any doubts, you can ask me here, or you can come when you come to the college. Then there you can we can discuss this further. Okay. Now, rules that operate within the structure. This is what we say, that there is nothing natural or unnatural about it. Okay, so you know, first point that we got is that these components, they have no meaning until they do not become the part of the structure. Window gets no meaning until and unless it becomes the part of the building. Cat has no meaning until and unless we know about what dog is, what horse is, and all these things. Okay, first. Then the constituent parts do not have a meaningful existence outside the structure. Here we saw this. Then the constituent parts, they get the meaning, or they get their relevance, they get their importance within that structure. It has got no inherent quality in it. Okay, so this is what we had discussed till yesterday. Okay, now let me begin with this presentation, and then we shall go further. I think it is visible to you because I took good care today that
Yes, ma'am.
it's visible. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
This is what we had done just for the sake of revision. I am keeping it for 2 minutes, right? Those who had not joined yesterday or day before yesterday can see what it's there. Then sign we had discussed. What is sign, right? Then this lang and parole. Okay, so when we speak language as structure, what do we mean? Like the sentences that I'm just saying before you, I'm talking to you. Okay, these are my utterances. So these utterances are called parole. Okay, and what is language? Language, as I told you yesterday, is a rule governed system, and this language is a passive thing which lies in our mind. Okay, and that part of language is called lang. You may say that language has two parts. It is lang and parole. Lang are those is the language that lies in our mind, language in mind. Okay, they are the set of rules, systematic rules, how the letters should be placed one after another so that it becomes word, how words should be arranged sequentially so that they become meaningful sentence, how sentences should be arranged sequentially so that they give out meaning, right? So that is what lang is. Individual natural language viewed as a structure or system. It is something which is internal, it is something which is passive. Then comes parole. Parole is what we utter or what we write. So this is something which is active. So language is lang plus parole. This is what we had discussed again. Then the next point, synchronic and dichronic approach. You can study language in these two ways. First, you can study it as synchronic linguistics, that is a branch of linguistics. The other is dichronic linguistics. So synchronic, this word is made from the word chrona. What is chrona? Chrona is time. Okay. Syn means same time. Just to, let me stop it here and then talk to you. Okay, chrona is time, and when you add sin to it, sin means same. Same. That means at this time. Diachronic. Dia means two. Okay, so diameter कहते हैं, circle का diameter, that means two widest points, उनके बीच का distance. Okay, dialogue. Log is speaking, di means when two people are speaking, it becomes dialogue. एक से दूसरी जगह जाना. So similarly, diachronic means एक point से दूसरे point तक की study करना. From past to present is diachronic. Okay, so basically one is same time, at the time, you can say at the time, and other is through the time. When you study language at a particular time, at this time, then it becomes synchronic approach. When you study language through the time, okay, then it becomes diachronic. Suppose you want to know that how you have studied Renaissance English. Is it same as it is spoken today? Shakespeare spoke in different way. We speak in different way, right? So this is what you can say diachronic study of language. That how English changed from the time of Shakespeare till here. If you are researching into that aspect of language, then you will say that what kind of study you are doing? Diachronic study. If you are studying that how we Indians speak English, and how is it different from how French speak English today in modern times, then it becomes synchronic approach to the language. Right? So synchronic means same, and dichronic means across the time, through the time. Okay, so synchronic linguistics is a study of language at a particular time. Dichronic linguistics studies the development of language over time. Okay, so synchronic linguistics में आप क्या-क्या पढ़ोगे? It is descriptive because you are analyzing the things. That how the parts of the language, how the grammar is working. Okay, so when you are studying these rules, then it is synchronic. You're not studying any development or evolution here. Okay, so this is descriptive, analytic study of language. Okay. How in Old English, in sentence, the words were arranged. Okay, so this becomes, when you are doing this, then it is synchronic. पुराने टाइम की इंग्लिश कर रहे हो लेकिन उसी एक पर्टिकुलर पीरियड की कर रहे हो, तो then it is synchronic. Okay, and now if you study how the word order changed, for example, you know, in Old English, at some places, two negatives in the sentences were acceptable. I don't know nothing about rituals. I don't know. This is negative. Nothing about, again negative. In place of saying now today we would say I don't know anything about rituals. And I don't know nothing. I know nothing. Okay, so that is double negative. So this double negative is not acceptable today. It is considered to be wrong English, but at that time when it was used, it was correct English. So if you are comparing these things, then it becomes dichronic. Okay, so and if presently you are saying that in some parts of the world it is still spoken and now we are not speaking, so at the same time if you are doing that study, then it becomes synchronic. Yeah. Now Saussure, he emphasized a synchronic view of linguistics in contrast to the dichronic. जो पुराने स्टडी ज्यादा होती थी वो डाइक्रोनिक एस्पेक्ट पे होती थी, and he is emphasizing on synchronic. Till 19th century, the language study was dichronic, and now it is synchronic mode. It's actually a combination of both. So the synchronic view looks at the structure of the language as functioning system at a given point of time. This distinction was a breakthrough and became generally accepted after Saussure. Okay, in 20th century. I'm changing the slide. So what did Saussure do? He identified that language study has two temporal dimensions. Temporal means on the basis of time. There are two dimensions of language study. It could be synchronic, it could be dichronic. And this he said in again course in General Linguistics 1916. So dichrony refers to evolutionary, how the change is brought about, not sudden disruptive change, but it is gradual change. Language is a living thing. As I told you that human body is a living thing. In a similar way, human body is a system of systems. Similarly, language is also system of systems. As human body is a living thing, similarly, language is also a living thing. Some languages of the world are, of course, dead language, but most of the languages in the world, they are living languages. Okay, so when the thing is living, then it changes, it evolves, it develops. And this change is so gradual that it is not called development, it is called evolution. Okay, so the term dichrony refers to evolutionary, that is gradual change, that phase of the language. And the term synchrony refers to the language state, that at present, what is the state of language? In 19th century, what was the state of English language? Okay, now if we say, suppose that Hindi has developed from Sanskrit, or Tamil has developed from Sanskrit. So how did Hindi and Tamil develop from Sanskrit? If you make that study of language, then it becomes what? Synchronic or dichronic?
Dichronic.
Dichronic. Okay, Hindi in Madhya Pradesh is spoken in some way, but Tamil people would speak English in Hindi in some different way. And if you are doing that, how this change comes and how, then what kind of study will it be called?
Dichronic.
Dichronic.
Are you sure that Hindi is spoken in 21st century in Madhya Pradesh in this way, and a person from Tamil Nadu who is Tamilian, whose mother tongue is Tamil, will speak Hindi? It is synchronic, yes. Okay. So coming to dichronic linguistics, dichronic approach. Now this studies language from historical perspective, how language developed through the passage of time, how changes came. This is, I gave you example, Hindi or Tamil, it came from Sanskrit. And if you are doing that, that is historical. Dichronic linguistic was also called, just hold on. Hello, hello. तो अब आप क्या करोगे बेटा, आप बताओ. उनको जानते हो आप? अच्छा, तो मतलब क्या नाम तो बता दो. उनका नाम पूछ करके मुझे व्हाट्सएप कर दो, ठीक है? फिर मैं उनसे बुक ले लूंगी. हाँ, ओके. So, what was I saying? The 19th century linguistics is historical. It was called historical linguistics, right? But now we call it diachronic linguistics. So 19th century linguistics, when we talk about it, is historical in nature. That is, it is diachronic, because it tries to understand relations among different languages. Now the origin of the individual words are studied, how this word originate, if we are going to do that kind of study, how the laws were formulated that govern the process of linguistic change. Now see, when the researches are carried out in this field, then this branch of linguistics studies what? Phonological, that means phonemes, words, their pronunciation, then grammatical rules, then their meanings that is coming out, semantic changes occurred through the time, that is dichronic. Okay, how 15th century English was different or Hindi was different from 21st century, that is dichronic linguistics. Clear? Synchronic. Synchronic is studies language at the spelling is wrong, you can correct it, it's not M, it's N. Okay, now this studies language at a given period of time. Given period means contemporary. The synchronic or same you may say. The synchronic कंटेम्प्रेरी का मतलब होता है आज का, लेकिन अगर हम खाली 19th सेंचुरी की स्टडी कर रहे हैं तो भी वो सिंक्रोनिक है अगर हम उसको 21st से कंपेयर नहीं करते हैं. तो द सिंक्रोनिक लिंग्विस्टिक स्टडीज हाउ अ लैंग्वेज वर्क्स एट अ गिवन टाइम. This is the example that I gave you a few minutes back. Here it is the comparison between Hindi spoken in rural areas of Madhya Pradesh and Hindi spoken by say students in NCR, how the Noida and Gurgaon people are speaking in Hindi. Their Hindi is very different from what kind of Hindi is spoken in Gwalior or Datia or Bhind. So that will become synchronic study of Hindi. The outcomes, the theories of synchronic studies offer particularly accurate information about the language in its current usage. Okay. Just tell me now, till here, these two terms are clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Synchronic, diachronic, right? So what we have seen by this study, that language is a living phenomena. I'm stressing this again and again. And Saussure, he laid stress on studying speech habits of the community speaking of speaking a given language. He analyzes the underlying system, okay, of what? Hello? Yes, Megha. हाँ, अगर डिपार्टमेंट ओपन है ना तो आप उसको उस पर रख दो, टेबल पे रख दो, ये साइड में जो साइड में, हाँ अलका मैम को दे दो. हाँ हाँ. So sure, he emphasizes the importance of what that you should see that language as a living phenomena. Language has a life, and he lays stress on what? That speech habits of the community speaking some particular language, they can be studied through this kind of approach to the language. So he says that language should be placed in social context, in a society, in a community, how this language is spoken. Okay, so Lang and Parole and synchronic and diachronic. This is what we have discussed so far. Now these are the again two terms that you get: paradigmatic and syntagmatic approach to the language. What are these two terms? We talked about language and society, and now we are talking about language, the inner side of the language. That there is a duality. Duality means two parts. Okay, so there is an inner duality in language in two ways. Again, language can be studied or used, okay, which is manifested by interaction of synchronic, diachronic, वो हमने देख लिया, and then it is syntagmatic and associative. Associative paradigmatic होता है. Paradigmatic के लिए associative word भी use करते हैं. तो syntagmatic and paradigmatic. फिर एक और क्या है, signifier, signified. We have seen signifier, signified. We have seen synchronic and dichronic. Now we come to syntagmatic and paradigmatic. So we can say that there are two poles or two axes, okay, according to which language can be analyzed. Syntagmatic axis. What is this? Again, synchronic, same, sin. Here again you are getting that part of the word or prefix sin. Syntagmatic. Sin means same. Okay, so when at the same level, and this when we speak any sentence, it is at one level. Okay, for example, this is example that I have given. The cat sat on the mat. First of all, you cannot change the sequence of these words. This sentence becomes meaningful only when the words are written in this sequence. The cat sat on the mat. This is syntagmatic axis. Okay, so what is there? The article, then comes the noun, then comes the verb, then is preposition, then again there is a noun before which there is an article. So this is the structure of the sentence. And this axis is syntagmatic axis, same. Okay, so this is fixed. This cannot change. If you change the sequence of the words, it will become meaningless. Then the other axis is paradigmatic axis. Now, paradigmatic axis is your choice. Choice means what? That you can replace one word with same kind of word. Like in place of cat, you can write dog. Okay. The can be replaced by some another article. Okay. Sat can be replaced by some other word. Like in place of sat, you can say stood. The cat stood on the mat. Okay. Mat can again be replaced by some other word. You can say carpet. Okay, so paradigmatic axis, we have the way that our utterance remains tied to and governed by the system to which it belongs. हम utterance क्या कर सकते हैं? ऐसे word से जो कि उस system में आ रहा है. Okay, cat की जगह आप मीना को खड़ा कर सकते हैं. मीना sat on the mat. Cat sat on the mat, dog sat on the mat. So this kind of study, when you do that, what word can be replaced with what word, that becomes paradigmatic axis. Okay. Is it becoming tougher?
No, ma'am.
You are getting it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm not going further. It is today that we have discussed Lang and Perol we revised, right? Then synchronic and dichronic we have done in detail. And this is something which I have just introduced you. And this we shall continue with on Monday. Syntagmatic and paradigmatic. You have to repeat these terms again and again, and then search on the internet. You may get other some kind of graphs and all also that would help you in understanding. Okay, for example, I have not shown you that. I'll just take a picture of it. I don't know how to put it into presentation. Like you write sign. Sign is equal to ऊपर signifier, then again there's a line and signified. That helps you in understanding better if you represent it in that way. Okay, or sign, signifier, signifier के बगल में आप लिख सकते हो in bracket, it is sound image. And then signified and in bracket, एक line करना बीच में, and then नीचे signified I'll send you the picture of it on WhatsApp. उसके बगल में आप concept. Okay. इसी तरह से जैसे language is equal to lang plus parole. In this way, in this such a formula way, if you remember it, then this will settle in the mind. Okay. Similarly, the approach is language can be approached in syntagmatic, paradigmatic. It can be synchronic, dichronic. It can be signifier, signified. Because language is sign, words are sign, sentences are sign. What is signified and what is signifier. Okay, in this way you can just kind of a formula thing you can make it, and that will help you in remembering it. Okay, so have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye bye.